Okay, it is 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, Tuesday, December the 7th. Welcome to week number 5. Week number 5 of Drugs and Crime. And you know me already by my name, Richard Wright, Dr. Wright, Professor Wright, just plain old Richard Wright. And so I'm going to tonight go over the information for this week, recognizing the fact that we've turned the corner. We've got 2 more weeks, actually less than that, because tonight represents the start of actually Monday represented the start of week number 5 and the final full week. And we will be wrapping up on December the 17th at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, and you can see let's look at the calendar first. And let's move that. Let's do the month view. This is where we are, the 7th. Your initial post is due tonight. Your live lectures tonight. Your reply post is due Saturday the 11th. Your written assignment is due the 12th. And then your live classroom lecture, which the 2 of you are here, can have a head start on that. And then, of course, your quiz, which you're familiar with how that works. And then you can look at and see that the course ends Friday, the 17th. And all assignments must be in. And keep in mind that I'm not accepting assignments from 1, 2, or 3 anymore, unless I've previously made arrangements with you. So we're week 4, which just completed on Sunday, and then week 5, which is what we're starting now, and then of course week 6. So it's very important. Do not try to give me any comments about I submitted my assignment, but I had some computer problems, and it ended up coming in on the 18th. Comes in on the 18th, you're it's not going to be accepted. So it's something that I have to do. It's the school rule and policy. Let me lower that a little bit there. Okay, yeah. So let's take a look at the items that we have here for this week. First, let's look at the announcements. Week 5, I left the E out. Okay, so I have to put that E in a little later. So in week 5, module 5, drug-related criminal activity, public health perspective is going to be presented. And we're going to provide you with chapter 9 of drugs, crime and justice for your studying. Deal with drug addiction, the public health perspective, and a video. This is going to be most of the lecture, the video tonight. So we're going to go over the assignments very quickly here in just a moment, which are discussion assignment, incarceration or treatment. Of course, the initial post due tonight, reply post again Saturday, and the written assignment, recidivism and public health, and then of course your quiz due this Sunday. And then you know about my motto, adversity is the springboard to success. Okay. I like to fix stuff right away. Okay, I fixed it. There. Okay, so that's the announcements. So now let's get right into the module itself. I sent you two pieces of material. I sent you the information on a deflection program, Senate Bill 3023, which you which is a program that is given the choices for individuals when they possess drug paraphernalia, and they can go into the police, and what the police will do rather than arrest them is connect them to community-based substance use services. So to help with it, it's a form of diversion. And so that law was passed a few years ago. It's on the books, and you can Google it and check it out. But I did supply you with information that I'm not going to go over because you have it. If you have questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. In addition, I provided you with a report that detailed a diversion program for the Chicago Police Department. And it's very extensive. It actually provides a lot of really good information. And you want to utilize that information in completing your assignment this week, because as you should be aware, we do have a public health crisis with the opioid addiction. All right. So let's look at the assignment right quick. Of course, remember, you must use the scenario. You must use that. We've been using it every week. I've been addressing that. So for this, you're going to need to address the drug enforcement policies on recidivism. Discuss the probability of Dave reoffending. Explain the long-term impact of drug enforcement policies to public health. That's where it gives you an opportunity to discuss the diversion programs. There will be one mentioned in our lecture tonight, and then I provided you with the information for two. But you can Google and you'll find there are many. Check to see if there's one in your state, because this is an attempt for law enforcement to recognize that locking people up, giving them sentences, will not help unless we treat the issue. I've been talking about that this whole course, getting people from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Discuss the current drug enforcement policies and the impact on recidivism rates. Provide an example of approach that fits right in with what I just said about the diversion. Provide an explanation of how this approach can be effective for Dave as well. Provide credible sources. It says one, but you know what I'm talking about. I've spoken before. Please submit APA formatted citations in the body in a 2-page minimum paper, double space, cover page, reference page. Very important. Satisfy those requirements. And it must be in a Word document. Here we go. Once again, you know I'm over here. And this is how we work. You wanna get 28% of your grade by completely describing drug enforcement policies with supporting details. That means citations supporting that information. The impact to public health, exemplary explanation, and what it is doing to public health with credible sources. Recidivism rates. Remember, our goal is to reduce recidivism, and talk about that as relates to Dave. Credible sources, professional language. And again, if your paper is less than 2 pages, you're going to end up over here. You're going to see a comment that I'll put in that says you need more information. So you already know how much information you're supposed to provide. Okay? Any questions about the written assignment? Okay. All right, so we are good on that. Let's get to the discussion assignment. Incarceration or treatment? That's the debate, the question. And you're going to read this paragraph and this paragraph. So you're going to conduct research to learn about alternatives to incarceration. That's going to be the whole week. That if you can find, some people say probation, some people talk about other forms, but this is a time too when you can also include the information about diversionary tactics, helping people get some assistance. So in your first post, discuss the pros and cons of your alternative and the effectiveness of the option in reducing recidivism. Okay, and then at the end, discuss the funding source. Incarceration is very expensive. I always say it's cheaper to educate than to incarcerate. Very, very, very important. And that post is due tonight. And then your reply post respond to another student's post. Any questions about the discussion assignment? Okay. And then you have your quiz, which I will not click on because it will show the quiz. And the quiz is based on information that's combined from the lecture, your readings, but your PowerPoints are good for helping you to prepare as well. All right. Then your live classroom recording. So we're going to, again, deal with this video, Chasing the Dragon. But I want to talk to you about the public health perspective. I've already started talking about it, that we recognize the fact that people oftentimes find themselves addicted to drugs because they innocently used painkillers or abused painkillers, which led them to using stronger things to kill that pain. Because you should be knowledgeable about the fact that the more you use painkillers, your body after a while will not respond to them, and you'll increase the dosage, or either you'll want to get something stronger. And as a result, it leads to illegal activity, and then ultimately to the opioid issue that we're going to be looking at tonight in this video. But it is very, very serious. And so now law enforcement, as I said, has decided that, remember we talked about saving people with Narcan. In addition, recognizing that individuals should be able to get help from law enforcement rather than running from law enforcement, to help them to deal with their addiction and to connect them with treatment services. And so there's laws that have been passed, like the ones that I talked about earlier. And actually, the one for the Chicago Police Department actually came about because of the bill that I told you about, 3023 as well. And you should be aware of that. So I gave that to you to help you complete your assignments. A lot of good information in that. It's about 37 pages, the Chicago Police Department. And then in our conclusion of discussing this, you could see what happened with the police department in Massachusetts, Gloucester. And so they set up a program that was called the Angel program in 2015. And it says that people seeking help for an opioid addiction were invited to contact the department, which connected them to treatment services. Guys, that's how we have to look at this. It is a health crisis. That's why it says from a public health perspective, um, it it doesn't do much to charge these people, lock them up, release them, and you haven't corrected the issue. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's got to be in here so you get it, to understand that. I'm sure we all know people who have been in this state. And so the police department uh, represents, as it says here, an entry point. And more and more are popping up. So do your research and find some more and cite them in your papers. You have plenty of information that I started you off with. Okay. Any questions about this part about diversion or about helping individuals? Okay, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a new role for law enforcement. So those of you who recognize in criminal justice, this is something that I'm excited about. Then the last thing is you can do this yourself. Indicators of use activity. This is a little training piece that I'm not going to go over, but I'm just making you aware that it exists. A knowledge check where you click begin and then you go through these scenarios: bloodshot eyes and lack of coordination, lack of focus and misjudging time comes about from one of these. Probably somebody might say all of them, but there's one in particular that a lot of people want to pick this one, which is right. That's why I've said, and the reason why I wanted to go over this one before I get to the video is because I've said time and time again, I don't care how much we legalize marijuana. As you know, it was on Schedule 1 from the beginning of this course. We talked about that. But it's a dangerous gateway drug, and it leads to cocaine, heroin, and then opioids, all kinds of drugs. Those K2 spice things, those uh, drugs that are manufactured. And then once again, keeping in mind that all of this stuff is laced. I know somebody very close to me who recently got in trouble with the police because of the fact that they were in possession of marijuana and they didn't get it from the dispensary. They got it from their dealer, and you don't know what's in that stuff. So anyway, take a look at that. So I'm going to now take you to the point, and I'm going to take off my headset. And okay, let's see, I just did. Okay, great. So it's all set. All right, so I'm going to go to this video, and then you're going to be thinking about these questions as you look at this video, and you can look at it afterwards. Again, the video, Chasing the Dragon, the life of an opioid addict. There will be closed caption in here so that you can see it.
I didn't care. I didn't think about it. I just did it. Once we started getting high, it was done. She was 17 years old, and the only way I knew about it is because she was arrested. Started smoking pot around 18, and I was always offered prescription drugs, and I never would take them. Then I was in a car accident. I was running down in the middle of the night.
Whoops. There it goes.
I get some water, fell down the stairs, landed on my back on the wooden floor.
It started for me with pot and just progress into hell, basically.
Weed didn't do it for me, but definitely weed started it all for me.
It was definitely something I didn't see until it was too late. I had no clue what I was getting myself into, so.
Started taking 3 at a time, and then I was taking 4 at a time, and then I started taking
I became
6
addicted
at a
that day.
time. When you're getting high, it's not just a drug.
You're hooked. $500 going
And
into
she was a convicted felon at the age of 18.
I had maggots in my leg, turned to prostitution.
Stealing from my family.
Married, mother of 3, and I'm tripping.
take you to hell
It's
back.
not just a little pill.
It takes control.
I started using heroin, same heroin. And that just killed me. You can't go back and say I'm sorry.
It will win.
It will get you. Her sister found her.
Died in her sleep.
My daughter is dead.
Being addicted to opiates is like chasing a dragon. You're constantly seeking that first high. But what's going to happen if you actually catch it? Come from a great family, always had what I wanted. Never had a curfew. I could sleep over at my friend's house whenever. I could have done anything. They would have paid for me to go to any kind of school, stuff like that, and they paid for guitar lessons.
I grew up with my dad. My mom wasn't in my life, though. He pretty much was mom and dad throughout the whole life. He would tutor me for at least an hour. On the weekends, we'd go out, we'd go camping, we'd go out on the boats. We always had something planned.
She started in gymnastics when she was like a toddler, and she was a cheerleader through middle school, high schools, and she was also a competitive cheerleader. She started competing probably in 7th grade. She was a very good student. She was in AP classes, AP honor roll.
Worked myself up through the years with minimal college to a position I worked as a corporate account executive. I was making about an average of $122,000 a year. Things were pretty good financially. We were secure. Kids were happy. We had no real issues. Dad was military. Mom was Korean. Everyone I grew up with was the same way. Everyone's parents was military and Korean parents. Korean mom. No, I did martial arts, ballet, gymnastics, did all kinds of stuff. I did piano lessons. I was an honor roll student, always went to school. I was like 3.43, grade-point average.
I had a great childhood, great family. We did a lot of camping, a lot of fun stuff, going to the beach, camping at the beach. Very active in scouting, Boy Scouts, and something my father, me and him did together, a couple days before my 18th birthday. I actually got my Eagle Scout, which was a big accomplishment for me.
I met my first husband when I was very young. I was 13. And then we got married at 17. So I got to grow up pretty quick. I was 22 years old, and that's when everything started. I got pregnant with my youngest daughter. Once I had her, they gave me Oxycontin. That was the pain medicine. From then on, that's where my addiction started.
A friend offers you something at a party or at home, or you're having a bad day and you need something to pick you up, so somebody hands you a pill and says, "Here, this will help you feel better." That's how this problem always starts.
I was at a concert, and I was 15 at the time, and I was drinking a beer, so I got a possession of alcohol charge. I got put on probation, so I couldn't smoke pot anymore. So I started to panic, and then somebody approached me and said, well, here, try this, and it was Oxycontin 80.
So I was hobbling into work, and the young lady that worked there used to be a pharmaceutical sales rep, and she had some samples of things. And she said, Katrina, have you gone to the doctor for this yet? And I said, no. So she said, well, I have these things. Take one. Not more than that. Go home, take one, you know. And I had a habit every night where I'd go home and have a glass of wine. So I went home that night and I took what she gave me, but instead of taking one, I took two because I didn't even know what they were. And took the two, had my glass of wine, and all of a sudden, it just triggered something in my brain, and I would say I became addicted that day.
I think the new friends had a really, really big impact on, you know, when she got to that fork in the road, you go left or you go right. And I think at that point, the friends helped pick the road that she chose. This sounds really appealing. I'm going to try that. But I guess what most people and most kids don't understand is, you know, when you try something, you're not trying it. It's your new path.
I just like the feeling of certain things being high. It wasn't like I'm depressed, so I'm gonna take this to make me feel better. It was kind of like I'm feeling good. I'm gonna try this to see if I can feel even more better.
Started taking 3 at a time, and then I was taking 4 at a time, and then I started taking like 6 at a time. And then I went from taking them orally to shooting them. And that was the end.
I went back to the doctor a couple times and got him to refill the medicine to the amount that he couldn't refill it anymore. So then I started buying Oxycontin off the street. From there, Oxycontin started to be more expensive and harder to find. A girlfriend of mine introduced me to heroin. I could get a whole lot more for a whole lot less. And then once I shot up the heroin, that was it from there. My addiction took off, and my daughter was 7 months old when I became physically addicted to heroin intravenously.
I never hesitate to ask them all which drugs they've tried. And they'll typically say, started off with marijuana, tried cocaine, I've tried oxycodone, and I ask them of all the drugs they've ever tried, what's the most addictive drug? And without a doubt, 100% of the time, they'll say the most addictive drug is oxycodone.
You know, the drugs, I feel like it took my mind over, made me do things that I, normally brought up not to do, and it just turned me into a monster.
You know, I just went in my medicine cabinet. My buddy's like, oh, hey, these will get you high. Let's do some. So I was like, okay, you talked me into it right here. I don't have to pay anything, sure. It doesn't even have to be a drug. It could be right in your house. And next thing you know, you're hooked.
My friends in the beginning were the friends that didn't do anything, and then I met the crowd that did do stuff. You are who you hang out with. That is for sure.
These kids go into it as, I'm just going to go to a party and, hey, they're doing this over here. Let me, I want to fit in. Let me do it a little bit. And if it's the devil, it gets you. It's, it's that temptation. Hey, this is a fun party over here. It'll suck the life out of you.
All I wanted to do, if it had been in front of my face, is do it. It's not just a little pill. Respect the power of that, of that pill. It's just because it's a prescription, it is every bit as deadly and every bit as addictive. I worked at a daycare, taking care of other people's kids. I drove the daycare bus. I had to take their children to school. But before I could drive their kids to school, I was in the bathroom of the daycare, crushing up pills, snorting them, so I could go about my day. The whole time you're sitting there saying you're not a addict, you're not addicted, guess what? You are. Because why are you taking that hit saying, no, dude, I can quit when I want? You're addicted. They're like, oh, I only smoke weed. I'm not addicted. It's natural. Whatever. There's like, whatever. Oh, it's legal now. Oh, God. You know, whatever.
First time somebody uses an opiate drug, the euphoria that they get is something that they continue to search for and seek for. So while you could do that in the beginning by just chewing on the drug, over time you can't get that high anymore. And so now you have to take it up to the next level. And nobody sets out thinking that they're going to end up being a needle user. But every one of those needle users will tell you that they couldn't get the high anymore doing it the way they were doing.
Heroin became my best friend. Heroin became the love of my life. I put heroin before my family. I put heroin before my children. And I thought that I couldn't do nothing in life anymore without heroin. There's absolutely no difference between, in my mind, a heroin addict and a pill addict. We both will do anything to get it. Break the law, do whatever. You're both addicted. You both go through the withdrawals. You both go, it's the exact same thing. It's everywhere. It's in your cabinet somewhere. It could be in your grandparents' cabinet. It could be your friend's mom's cabinet. It could be anywhere. That's pills. But, well, heroin could be in a drawer somewhere. Who knows? It's all the same. One's just prescribed to you, and one you go cop on the street.
There's no way to say no with the opiates. It's hard. Real hard. I can tell myself no, 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 but my body, as soon as you think about it, you get anxiety, your palms start to sweat. You know, your mental ignores your physical part of it.
I am very angry. And one of the things I'm most angry about, and I tell her all the time, is that drug was so much more important to you than me. And I'm the one that can help you. I'm the one that helps you. I'm the one that supports you. I'm the one that'll always be there for you. You need something, I'm going to be the one to take care of it for you. But something that literally destroyed everything good within you was so much more appealing. Wanted that so much more than anything I could offer her. And I'm angry. I am angry about that.
The progression of addiction and the behavior that comes with it is pretty standard, regardless of where you're born, how much money you have, how old you are, what your race is, what your nationality is. You can be the smartest person in the world. The minute that chemical hits your bloodstream, you lose control of what it does in your body. You can't control it. Nobody can control it. I don't care who you are. It's not controllable.
I lived in crack houses. And it's almost like something you see on TV, an abandoned building with drug paraphernalia everywhere. It might be a piss-stained mattress, and God knows what else is on it. There was actually a place in the city that we were at, and a lady had overdosed in the bathtub. She had died. She was still in the bathtub. We'll just find another room in the house. And that's what my day consisted of. It became my full-time job. The needle was my boss, a very demanding boss. Your whole day revolves around it. You go to sleep doing it, you wake up doing it. You know what I mean? It's like some people smoke after every meal they have. No, doing a front shot.
It's a never-ending vicious cycle. It's the same thing over and over and over. You wake up, all you want to do is find out how you're going to get something. How you're going to get it.
You know, it's kind of stupid if you think about it, because I'm wasting all this money stealing from my family and my friends just to do a drug and fall asleep, you know? And then I wake up sick, so I'm like, crap, now I gotta do it all over again, you know? You're still chasing that first high. So, you know, in order to be high, you gotta at least be normal. And to get there, you gotta at least do enough to where you're not sick anymore, so.
Well, usually, like, if I had stuff the day before, I'd always save a bag for the morning time, so when I wake up, I could get well. And I call it that because in the end, I wasn't using to get high anymore. I was using to stay well, so I wasn't sick. You know, I'm not even getting high. I'm just trying to, you know, be able to get up out of bed. You know, my head was always on my lap. You know, I feel like I've missed a couple years of my life because there's a lot that, you know, it's just a fog, black fog, because, you know, I really wasn't there, you know.
My addiction level was so bad that I couldn't even function without 40 pills a day. I was ill, like literally every 4 hours, the chills started setting in. And I would wake up and I woke up sick. That's the way it went all day long.
How do you know you're an addict? It's when you're doing something that you know is not good for you, that's harming you, but you can't help yourself. When your relationships are starting to fall apart around you, and you don't care. The only thing that's on your mind is about how to get the substance and how to get to the next high. You're an addict. You can't maintain an opiate addiction and a normal life for very long.
I felt like after my first year of using it, I actually got physically addicted to where I actually needed it to even to wake up and get out of bed, start moving around, take a shower. And that's when I started, you know, stealing from my family, friends. You know, whatever money I had in my pocket was all going to it. I got a $500 paycheck, $500 going to dope.
Because you always tell yourself, whenever you're using drugs, and especially it's like a super addictive one, oh, I'm not addicted. Motherfucker, you're addicted. You know what I mean? Like, you're fucking addicted. You're in denial. You know, you might not be addicted at that point in time, but you're going to keep using, and a month later or 2 months later, you're fucking addicted. At one point, my husband said he would stop putting gas in the van so I could drive the distance to the city to get my drugs. And I said, well, I'll show you. I'm going to move to the city. So I don't need my van and I don't need gas money because the dope dealers are going to be living right here with me. And that's what I did. I ran away from home. You will be high and put yourself in situations that you will get hurt. Someone will take advantage of you. You know, you'll be knocked out. It's going to happen. You're going to get hurt.
Some people who have money and they don't have to steal for it. And then you meet other people who, you know, just pawn their family's TV and is coming to get high and then deal with the consequences later.
She stole checks from her grandmother and signed them. She stole my debit card. If it wasn't nailed down, it was in a pawn shop. She spent $800 a week. My daughter, who had, you know, everything handed to her, you know, could have gone anywhere in the world, very book smart, you know, very motivated, worked at a strip club. My little girl degraded herself just to get that.
Women turn to prostitution, which I've done myself. Guys will steal. They'll rob you right in front of you. I've seen guys take guns out on dealers and steal and rob everything from them, not even worrying about if they get shot or end up in jail.
People get raped. People get killed over stupid. You know, it's people. Now I can say it's just a drug, but like when you're getting high, it's not just a drug. You know.
Best thing that can happen to someone who's addicted to oxycodone is that they can be arrested. That's the best thing. The best thing that they can be arrested and go to jail. Everything other than that, it's worse. It's going to end in a bad way.
You're going to get caught eventually, so I just didn't think it was going to be me. I would just think, you know, they must have screwed over the wrong person. You know, they got caught because they weren't careful enough.
She was pulled over. I searched the car, and she had a quantity of pills. At that point, she was smoking them, so there was some type of a pipe device in, so she was arrested, and she was a convicted felon at the age of 18.
I have 4 kids. My youngest son will be 1 this month. I've been locked up for freaking 8 months. First time I came to jail, first time I got locked up this year, he was 2 weeks old. You know, don't even know my kid. My other three are in foster care right now. I never thought any of this would ever happen to me. The only thing I care about is my kids. Like, my kids are suffering. It's not me. I give two shits if I'm suffering. I mean, yeah, it sucks. But it's like, my kids, they didn't do anything in this. My parents, you know, they got to come visit me through, I don't even get it through a window. I get through a camera and a little camcorder. That sucks.
It's not worth it. Losing your freedom sucks. You have somebody tell you when to get up, when to shower, when you eat, what you eat, and you have to worry about the other people that are in here for, you know, life, and they don't care about you.
I was supposed to go to court November 2011, and the judge was supposed to let me go. He gave me the maximum, which ended up being 23 months, 2 years instead of the 10 months. And at the time, I was so angry. In retrospect, I'm very thankful because I would have, I know for 100% certainty, I would have gone right back out and done it again.
I got kicked out of my house, and I met your neighborhood-friendly drug dealers who were like, oh, you can crash on this couch. And they, you know, of course, they'd give me stuff here and there, but it wasn't ever enough for me to even enjoy it, so that made me run fake prescriptions.
You don't think about anything. You don't think about anybody you're hurting. You don't think about before and after. You don't think 7 dudes in all black are running up in your house. You don't think you're going to be on the news. You don't think anything. You don't think any of that.
Every generation seems to have their drug of choice. Unfortunately, this generation seems to have found prescription opiates as that drug of choice. And even more unfortunately, the consequences of those drugs are far more devastating than anything else we've seen in the past. Chemically and physiologically speaking, there's very little difference between oxycodone, morphine, and heroin. It's just that one comes in a prescription bottle and another one comes in a plastic bag.
In the beginning, I would always try and get pills because you know what you're getting, you know? You know it's always going to be the same thing. And then eventually that just got too expensive, you know? So then you'd go for heroin because it's cheaper, but you take that risk of getting really good stuff and overdosing, or getting fake stuff, or just stuff that isn't good enough to even get you well.
A lot of my friends were trying heroin, you know, to get the same high from the Oxycontin, and it's cheaper, and so of course I got into it, and it just grabbed me.
I can tell you this, that I think she was able to access more heroin, easily than the pills. When she was using one or using the other, she was the same horrible, difficult person.
I always said that I would never touch heroin ever in my life, and it was prescription drugs that led me to try heroin. Prescription drugs are the same thing. It's an opiate. You can get 4 shots for the price of 1 pill, and it's a dirty drug because you never know what you're going to get. People can cut it with something that can kill you, you know? That's how most people overdose, is that it's cut with something bad.
The doctor asked me, he said, where are you getting your heroin from? Where, you know, I said, I'll never tell you who I'm getting it from. He said, I don't want to know from who. He said, I want to know from where. And he said, well, let me tell you what you're shooting up. He says, you're shooting scramble heroin. And they are using meat tenderizer, the cutting agent. It's not like, you know, a bag of heroin comes with ingredients on the back. Of course, you trust your drug dealer that he's going to just, you know, keep you coming back to him. But he claims he didn't know either. That's how he got it. But, yeah, so it eats everything away underneath. In here, they shoot a meat tenderizer, and they have, like, big, blue, black marks. I'm like, what the f*** is that? I'm like, oh, that's meat tenderizer. You've got a few of them. What do you mean? You didn't learn? You don't know. You don't learn because they're trying to get high. It doesn't matter.
A lot of my friends have had abscesses. They might get a staph infection, which turns into MRSA, or Hep C. And if that's your only needle, that's your only needle. So you're gonna use it again.
At one point, I had an abscess in my leg that was so bad. Um, I, I had staph infection. My leg was like 4 times its normal size. When the doctors cut my leg open to clean it out, I had maggots in my legs. They were eating the rot, the infection. That wasn't enough for me to quit. As I was admitted to the hospital, they gave me a PIC line, which is an IV line. I had the dope dealer come into the hospital and shooting heroin into my IV line. I have contracted hepatitis C from sharing needles with people that I don't know who. I shot up toilet water because I didn't want to spend any money to go buy a bottle of water. So we would stop at public restrooms and use toilet water to mix with it to shoot it up. Rainwater on the side of the road and suck it up in the needle and shoot our dope. I didn't care what it was going to do to me later on. Just I wanted the feeling of it right then and there.
Withdrawal for the individuals that are taking the heroin that's available now looks like extraordinary physical, muscular pain. And very few people can actually manage it.
Like, you know how when your whole body hurts when you have the flu? And it's like 15 times worse than that. Opiates, you're getting sick. I don't know who you think you are if you think you're stronger than some dope, because you're not. And I mean, your body's gonna give in, your mind's gonna give in, your judgment's gonna give in, you're gonna bow. And that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. That withdrawal is.
You feel like you just want to die when you're going through that. At that point, you're willing to do anything to get that next high so you can just feel normal.
I mean, I remember her in her room crying and just busting her room up, screaming at me, just get me a little. Just get me a little so I can stop.
Feels like your skin's crawling and you can't sit still and you'll do anything to make it stop.
You can't move. Constantly sneeze. Your whole body aches. It hurts. People are crapping on themselves. People are puking on themselves. People are doing both at the same time. You would probably rather be dead than have to actually go through a withdrawal. It was horrific. I was sitting on the toilet, diarrhea, vomiting on the floor. So weak I couldn't even move. I just lay there like I don't want to eat, drink, nothing.
It's just something that I never ever want to experience again. It is the worst feeling ever. And I wouldn't wish that feeling upon my worst enemy. That's how bad it is.
Every day I come to work knowing that somebody died. And more times than not, we have at least one prescription drug or other substance abuse case. Your friends, your family will find you dead, and then what happens? And then that is the image that they get stuck with for the rest of their lives.
I've lost several friends to heroin and prescription pill overdose.
I know 2 people on a personal level that had died from it.
You know, one time my friend, she got out of here. She got high. She wasn't even out 6 days. She was dead.
One of my friends, she took her normal dose and OD'd. Her sister found her with a needle in her arm in her room, which was not good.
The day that I overdosed, I I was having a hard time finding a vein, and a girlfriend of mine said, well, just go in your neck. You have your jugular vein. And I said, okay. It didn't let me push all the heroin in, and instantly it killed me. When the ambulance got there, they gave me a shot of Narcan, and I was non-responsive to the Narcan, which is adrenaline, and that's to, jumpstart your heart. And it didn't work. So they had to use the defibrillator, and that's where they shock your heart back. I got a pulse. They got me to the hospital. I was still kind of in and out of it. But when I came to, I unhooked the IV from the pole, unhooked all these little things they had on me, went and walked right out, got in my van, and I showed up to the dope dealer with the gown on, these things stuck all over me, the IV in my arm, and he sold me heroin, the same heroin that just killed me. I utilized the IV a couple times before I turned it back in. I have nowhere really to shoot, so that was a freebie. So everything came to a head. I was writing the prescriptions and full on with my addiction. And I ended up getting caught and going to jail. And while I was in jail, my daughter got involved with some friends. From what I understand, her friends were all doing prescription pills. I had no idea. I didn't even know it was a problem. I just thought it was my problem. And she said, Mom, you don't have any right to talk. Look at you. Look where you are. I said, the person you saw where it put me, I can't imagine you would do the very same thing that I did. I was like, how? It just didn't make sense.
My mom, I would go to the doctor's office every time with her. Well, I told her I'd go in for her. And usually it works because she'll go in for me and ask for my prescriptions and they give it to her. And so I went in there and I asked and next thing you know, she got arrested and she called me saying that I had a warrant for me. I said, why would you make me go in and do that? Like, it's your own daughter, knowing that she can get caught and get in trouble. And she said that she was sorry because that she realized how bad her addiction was.
Help, Kirsten.
When I talked to her, she didn't even say goodbye. She must have nodded off the phone because I heard like that was it. It was Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. I was in the jail and they came down and told me they needed to see me. And I went up and because her father and I were both arrested for the same thing, we were both there. So I saw him coming and the detectives came and told us that she, what had happened. The parent overdose and that she was, initially they said she'd passed and then they said she was in ICU, struggling for life. They wanted me to, talk to the doctor, and the doctor recommended I disconnect all life support and I refused. And, they had 7 resuscitation efforts, I guess, and eventually, that morning she passed away. At her funeral, most all the kids were high. Death is real. And I will say, because I remember being that teenager too, so I know it's like they're gonna mock it, but it's real. And I think I'm still in shock. Like it is hard. I don't even know how to put it into words. Maybe that's why I'm able to deal with it, because it's so mind-numbing that someone you love that much. She was my first love. But when you love that much, you can lose like that, and you can't go back and say I'm sorry or set a better example or talk them out of it, And I know she didn't want to go. I know that's not what she wanted. I know that she had, all these things that she wanted to do, and I know that as they resuscitated her through the night, that was her way of clinging to life, But it was too much.
I love my children more than anything in the world. I will walk through fire for them. And I know a lot of parents feel that way. But you can't feel that way. You have to understand what you're dealing with is not your child. I put my own child in jail to stop her from this. And that's not an easy decision to make. It's not a fun decision. Nobody wants to know that their little girl's sitting in jail. But she was 7 months clean, eating healthy, getting her rest, no drugs. My son, my nephew, my mother, and I went together. And she came out and she was healthy. Everything was great. Everything was great. There were no problems, no fighting, no talking about, Mom, I'm feeling funny. I need to go to a meeting. Nothing. Everything was just that little girl at 16 before all this stuff started. That's who she was. And then she asked to go to the store to get a pack of cigarettes. And she came home, said, oh, Mom, I'm sorry I was late. They didn't have my cigarettes. I had to go to another gas station. Okay, and things fine. So I'm cooking dinner, and I'm like, you want to help me cook? She's like, no, I don't want to help you cook. So I'm going to go in my room and watch TV, and she was so bubbly, like nothing. Nothing was wrong. And she went upstairs, and it was maybe 40 minutes. I was cooking dinner. Dinner was done. I'm hollering for the kids. My son and nephew come down, and Sierra didn't come down. I think she fell asleep or something. So I go upstairs and knocking and knocking and knocking on the door. There's no answer. I open that door, and my little girl is on the floor dead. And I remember when I pushed on her chest, I heard that last breath. I was in my kitchen cooking dinner, and that happened 17 steps up, and I had no idea that when she left this house, that was going to happen. And I spend my Sundays looking at a gray headstone in a patch of grass. I will be spending my Christmases there, her birthdays there, all my holidays. Because she took that wrong turn.
My girlfriend Sierra, she passed away a year ago this month, and from heroin, and that's a constant big reminder in my head that if I even pick this stuff up once, it's gonna kill me, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her, and not a morning that I wake up that I don't wish that she was laying there beside me. She was my best friend. We went to high school together. I met her in high school. Sorry. I just miss her a lot. I wish she was still here with me.
Sierra came home on February 12th. Sierra died February 18th. She got out, still calling her. Still calling her. It's that powerful that you could spend 7 months clean, and being educated on nothing but how to beat it, how bad it is for you, all this. In the last 6 days.
The spiral down is so fast. It doesn't take much. And I lost everything. I lost my daughter, first and foremost, but I lost pictures, every material possession I had. I had never been in trouble in my life. I'm now a felon at 41 years old. So all that work I did, all those dreams I had, it's like I'm starting over again with a huge weight on my shoulders, all for a pill.
My dad doesn't even trust me anymore, which is hard because my dad's always trusted me my whole life. I've never had my dad look at me with disappointment before I did this. I'm a criminal, I'm an addict. That's how everybody will always perceive me. Listen to what they say no. Just say no. And you're not uncool for saying no. You're more cool for saying no, I think. I wish I could have said no. If I could go back and do it all over, I would definitely go back and say no.
I didn't feel like I was physically hooked, but that's because I never gave it a chance to stop. I didn't really learn how to enjoy life without drugs. As much as I wanted to quit, I was too scared to ask for help. I don't want to freak my parents out by telling them I'm hooked on some hardcore drug. Didn't kill me like everyone told me.
It's not worth it. And it will get you. You're no different than anybody else. It will destroy your life. You will end up in a jail, you'll end up dead, or you'll be in some crazy institution for the rest of your life. And that's serious and that's for real. And it took me coming to jail, being incarcerated. And it took me missing my mom's funeral, missing my children grow up. It's taken all of this because nobody in their right mind would turn their back on their dying mom for a drug. I want to be that loving and caring mom that my mom was to me, to my girls. I don't want them to hate me, to resent me. I don't want them to be embarrassed by me anymore. If you want to fail the rest of your life, if you want to be in and out of jail, if you want to possibly lose everything that matters to you, go ahead and go get high. Go ahead. If you want to be happy, you want to freaking get married, like every good part of my life, I wasn't getting high. Every good part of my life, I was getting high. And any drug addict will tell you that. If you want to be a flunky, go ahead and get high. Go ahead and do it. But I've been there, done that. I wouldn't recommend it.
Sierra did not take life for granted until she started using. It is much stronger than you. And it will win. It will win. Because this doesn't just affect you. It affects everybody in your family for the rest of their lives. That we're the ones stuck here, missing you. And there's help out there. You gotta take it. Don't think you can do it alone, because you can't. And your parents aren't the enemy. They just want the best for you.
It's something I want to do with for the rest of my life. To be honest, I actually I relapsed about a month ago and used for about a month, and I have a week. I had a week clean on Wednesday, and that's something that just shows how powerful this disease is. For me to lose somebody a year ago, not even a year ago, but I'm already using it. How powerful this stuff is. I'm just gonna try my best to stick with it, because I know it will kill me. Just something I gotta work at every day. it'll take you to hell and back, and if you're lucky, you'll make it back. Uh, it's just not worth it at all. If I could go back, and if I knew what I knew now about this, and if I could go back, I would do it all different. Starting with that first pill, I wouldn't touch it.
I tell you the truth, that should make you stop and think. So I know it went a few minutes over, about 7 minutes over, but I wanted to make sure that you saw that. Let me end it on my end here. Okay, turn this off. So I hope that having seen this video, it makes you stop and think about all the things that we've been talking about all these weeks. Think about all the things in the future that you're going to deal with as a professional, and recognize the fact that this is a devastating thing. I have a book that I'm going to recommend to you, and then I'm going to terminate. It's called From Dope to Hope. It's written by Tim Ryan. If you want to get more information about it, let me know. You can get it at Amazon, but it's From Dope to Hope, Tim Ryan. Tim came to the Rasmussen Romeoville campus and spoke to us that he was a man in recovery, and he became a substance abuse counselor. But the bad part about it was that his own son succumbed to it. It's a very easy read. So again, I know the book's still available because I know a few students who have gotten it. So anyway, I just wanted to let you see the thing that we talk about, how this crisis is so bad. I'm going to say good night. Thank you for hanging out. I know one of you had to leave, but do you have any questions about this week? Any questions? What do you think the code word is? Want to take a shot at it or phrase? I bet you'll get it. Or be close to it. Give you one guess, then I'll tell you. What do you think it is? Nope. How about chasing the dragon? Chasing the dragon. That's what this whole session was about, and the importance of it. So again, thanks for sticking in a few minutes longer. I think, that it touches you. I cry tears every time I see it. And I've seen this many times. And I've lived through it with a family member as well. I'm sure all of us know people like that. So I'm going to say good night to you. Thanks for spending time with me tonight. Get those assignments completed. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me. You know the best way to reach out to me, and I'll just say it. I'll put it in here. is, well, no, I'm not going to put it in here, is my phone number, 630-660-8480. You can call me or text me, and I'll be happy to help you out. You can send email, but if you have any major issues. So thank you guys again for being here. See you next week for week 6. Thank you. And that'll be our final lecture for this course. Good night.